All right, techies, buckle up because we are diving into the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max deep dive today.
But with a twist.
Always a twist, right?
Right.
So our source today is a little bit different. We're actually going international.
See,
We found a really in-depth review, but it's entirely in Spanish.
we are tapping into the insights from Tops de Gama.
Ooh la la.
They are a major tech review channel in the Spanish-speaking world.
Huge.
Huge.
So for anyone who, their Spanish isn't quite up to par, we're going to break it down for you today.
Yeah.
Just give you all the juicy details, all the good stuff. And let me tell you, there's some really interesting stuff coming out of this review. First off, did you realize there's a new button on these iPhones?
A physical camera button.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Like what?
Bold move by Apple.
It is a bold move.
We are going to dive deep into that a little bit later.
We will. But first I want to talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say the size of the elephant in the room. Because these phones, they got bigger.
They did get larger, yes.
The rumors are true. They did a side-by-side comparison with last year's models.
Yes, they did.
And the 16 Pro, definitely a noticeable size increase. And they even pointed out how it affects the battery, which, speaking of,
Which we'll get to.
we will get to that. But just note, that size increase is going to impact, how much battery they could fit in there.
Well, this is definitely a trend we've been seeing.
Absolutely.
Across the board, all the manufacturers,
More screen real estate.
they want more screen real estate, and the bezels just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Well, and I think what's interesting is they called out that the Pro Max, it's already a big phone.
Right.
So that extra size, maybe not as noticeable, but on that regular Pro, that's where it might get
A little clunky.
a little bit unwieldy.
Yes.
Especially one-handed use.
Especially one hand.
I mean, I feel like I have pretty big hands, and even I'm like, ooh, that regular Pro is a bit of a handful.
Yeah, it's pushing it.
It's pushing it. But bigger phone, bigger battery, right? That's what they tell us.
Right.
So good news, both models did get a bump in battery capacity this year.
They did.
Now, they haven't done full battery tests yet, but just based on the specs,
Yeah.
the Pro is rocking almost 10% more battery capacity than last year's model.
Which, let me tell you, that's huge.
That's got to make a difference, right?
For everyday use, 10%, you're talking maybe another hour of screen time.
Oh, see, that's what I want to know. Like, what does that actually translate to? Because,
Yeah.
you see 10% and you're like, okay, is that 5 minutes? Is that an hour?
Right, exactly.
An hour? That's significant.
That is significant.
Now, the Pro Max,
Yeah.
a respectable 6% increase. Not as dramatic,
Right.
but, I mean, come on, the Pro Max already had pretty stellar battery life.
It did.
So I'm not going to complain about a 6% bump.
No, those little incremental improvements.
They add up.
They really do.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, those little improvements. They really enhance how we use these things every day.
Absolutely. Now, one thing they did mention, and I was a little bit disappointed by this, they said wired charging, yes, got faster, which, yay. But MagSafe, no improvement to the charging speeds there.
No.
Still rocking those same speeds as last year, which, come on, Apple. I was hoping for a little bit of a bump there, but
Right.
I guess they got to save something for next year, right?
Always something.
Speaking of something, can we talk about this A18 Pro chip?
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Because the benchmarks on this thing,
The benchmarks, yeah.
bonkers. They put it through its paces.
They put it through it.
And it smoked the competition. It smoked the previous generation.
Absolutely crushed it.
Nah.
And, of course, with that, both Pro models now come standard with 8 GBs of RAM.
Finally.
Finally.
Finally. I feel like we've been asking for that for
I know, right?
say, come on, Apple. 8 GB should be the standard, and now it finally is.
And you know what that means? Smoother multitasking, faster app launches. Your phone is going to be able to handle anything you throw at it.
Yes, please. Because things are getting more demanding. Apps are getting bigger.
They are.
We need that extra RAM to keep everything running smoothly.
Absolutely. And it helps future-proof it, too.
Exactly.
Because as those software updates keep coming,
Oh, yeah.
it can handle it.
Which, by the way, iOS 18 is running the show on these new iPhones.
Yes, it is.
More on that later.
Yeah.
But I will say, one thing that I was a little disappointed by, storage-wise,
Okay.
that base storage for the Pro, still 128 GB.
Still 128.
I mean, come on, Apple. It's 2024.
It's 2024.
These files are only getting bigger.
Exactly.
We need more space.
We need more space.
So I was hoping they would bump that up, at least for the Pro model, but oh well.
Yeah,
Maybe next year.
maybe next year.
But enough about storage woes. Let's talk about something a little more exciting, shall we?
Okay, I like it.
Let's talk about that display, because apparently it's something else.
It is something to behold, yes.
The reviewers, they were just like blown away by how bright the screen is on this thing.
Yeah, they were very, very impressed.
They said in terms of like peak brightness, not a huge jump from last year.
Right, but the average brightness.
Average brightness is where it's at.
That's what they were saying.
Because let's be real, how often are we actually using our phones at peak brightness?
Right, you're not really maxing it out all the time.
Exactly.
You're usually just, scrolling through stuff, reading articles.
Yeah, checking emails, doom scrolling.
Exactly, and that's where the average brightness really matters, because if that's not good, it can really strain your eyes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they even teased a head-to-head comparison with the Pixels display,
Ooh, spicy.
which I'm very excited to see.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Because we know that those Pixels, they've got some good screens.
They do. They have fantastic screens.
So I'm very curious to see how it stacks up. But you know what else I'm curious to see?
I bet it's those cameras.
The photos and videos from this camera system, because, oh my goodness,
They went all out.
48 megapixel main sensor,
48 megapixel ultra wide.
ultra wide, which
Come on.
that's huge because ultra wide has always been a little bit of a weakness
It has.
for iPhone.
Yes. And it seems like they really took that to heart this year. They did. They bumped it up to 48 megapixels, which means you're going to get so much more detail, less distortion.
Oh, yeah.
The quality of those ultra-wide shots is going to be significantly better.
Okay, are you ready to talk about this camera button, though?
Oh, let's do it. I'm very curious.
Because I'm geeking out a little bit.
Okay.
Like, it's a physical button on an iPhone
Okay.
that you can customize.
It's huge.
Like, what?
Yeah.
So, from what I gather, like, imagine you're filming a video, right?
Okay, yeah.
You can press and turn that button to adjust, like, the aperture on the fly.
Wow.
Like, what is this? A real camera?
Right, I know. That level of physical control is unheard of
I know.
in the smartphone world.
I know.
This is huge, especially for, pro users.
Yeah.
This could be a game changer.
Pro users, absolutely. I'm curious to see, for everyday users, if it'll catch on.
Yeah, will it feel intuitive?
Yeah, is it going to be one of those things that sounds really cool on paper, but then in reality,
Is it a gimmick?
it's kind of a gimmick, or it's like, I don't really use it that much.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
We shall see.
Only time will tell, but definitely interesting to see them, branching out and trying some new things.
Right, absolutely. Speaking of new things, software, iOS 18.
Okay, iOS 18, running the show.
Yes?
But one thing that caught my eye that I was a little surprised by,
Okay.
no AI features
At launch.
at launch. And not even just delayed for certain regions. No, worldwide, nobody's getting the AI features at launch.
See, that's interesting because you really got to wonder what Apple's thinking with that.
Mm.
What's the game plan there? Are they holding back some features to release later?
Ooh, you know what? That's a good point.
Maybe drum up some excitement.
Because then it's a few weeks after the launch hype dies down, boom, new software update with all this cool AI stuff.
Exactly.
Keep people talking, keep people, excited about the phone.
Keep people engaged.
I like the way you think. Okay, now let's talk audio because these phones have count them, four studio quality microphones.
That's insane. And iPhones already have really good microphones.
Right.
But this is next level.
What are they trying to do? Become the go-to for mobile content creation?
Right. Vlogging, podcasts.
Yeah.
Imagine recording music on the go.
Yeah.
With this kind of audio quality.
With these microphones, that would be incredible.
Right. Assuming
the software is there to back it up.
Exactly, which is the big question mark because
here's the thing.
Yeah.
They mention in this review that there's supposed to be a dedicated audio control app. Apple created a whole app specifically for these microphones.
Right. But they couldn't find it.
It's MIA. Gone. Vanished. They're combing through these phones looking for this app, and it's nowhere to be found.
It's so bizarre.
It's did they forget to include it? Did it get, accidentally deleted?
Right. Did something happen in the software build where it's not there?
Or, and hear me out on this one.
Yeah.
What if it's intentional?
Ooh, conspiracy theory.
A little bit of a conspiracy theory here, but what if they're holding on to it?
Okay.
Saving it for a future software update, to really
drum up some buzz.
Yeah. Get people talking again a couple weeks down the line when the initial launch hype has died down.
It's a bold strategy.
It is, but it just might work.
Right, because then suddenly everyone's talking about the iPhone again because there's
Oh my gosh, have you seen this new audio?
this audio app is incredible.
Yeah, Apple's marketing team, they know what they're doing.
They do. They're very good at their jobs.
They are. Okay, speaking of, let's talk price because, that's always a hot topic.
That's the big question, right?
The big question, drum roll please. No price increase this year.
Okay, all right.
Holding steady at $999 for the iPhone 16 Pro
Okay.
and $1,099 for the Pro Max.
All right, so same as last year.
Same as last year. Which, some people might be like, oh, I was hoping for a price cut. But honestly, with all the upgrades, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, especially with inflation and everything.
Exactly. Everything's getting more expensive.
Right, all the components, everything costs more.
So I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for them to, hold steady.
Hold steady, keep those customers happy.
Exactly.
So let's recap here, because we've covered a lot of ground. We got the slightly bigger design, we got that powerhouse A18 Pro chip, a camera system that is gunning for that top spot,
Gunning for it.
a mysterious MIA audio control app.
Where did it go?
We need to find it.
And
of course, that very intriguing new camera button.
big changes, big changes.
They're big changes. So the question is it enough? Is it enough to tempt those Android users to switch sides?
To make the switch.
Or, is this really more of an iterative upgrade, something that's going to appeal mostly to diehard Apple fans?
What do you think?
I'm still on the fence. I'm very, very curious to see how those AI features shake things up on the software side.
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge.
Because if they deliver on that, I think that could be a game changer.
Absolutely.
But, gotta see it to believe it.
Exactly. We've been burned before.
We have been burned before. So for now, I'm cautiously optimistic.
I like it.
But as always, in the tech world, always something new and shiny just around the corner. So we'll see what happens.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned because you never know what exciting advancements await. Until next time, techies, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep those tech reviews coming. We'll be here to break it all down for you no matter what language it's in.